Welcome back to the Tough Love Podcast with Essential Gigi. I'm Gigi, and on today's episode, we are going to discuss relationships and why it's important to have emotionally healthy relationships. I will touch base a little bit on how to start working on those relationships, but I'm going to leave that to other episodes where we can really dive deep into each relationship that I'm going to be talking about today. Thank you so much for all of your feedback for the past 2 episodes. I really appreciate the stories you guys have shared, whether you've messaged me, written, or voice messages. They have been very personal, and I'm very honored that you guys are open enough to share these things with me. A little disclaimer again that the topics that are discussed on the Tough Love podcast are based on my personal and professional experiences and also my interpretation of what I've learned and continue to learn. Emotionally healthy relationships require tough conversations, whether it be a relationship with ourselves, with our body, our food, our family. I personally think that every true, loyal, and valuable relationship will eventually have difficult conversations. But again, like I mentioned before, there's something that has been wired in us that makes it difficult for us to hear and receive tough love or criticism. I think it's also part of being taught to suppress our emotions and our feelings, not talk back to our elders, basically, or ask any questions. And in reality, our curiosity should be explored. We should ask questions and then make our own educated decisions on how we live our life. That is something that I also stand firm on. And I think that's also why I like hearing a lot of people's opinions and different ways of thinking, because I was raised a certain way. I have certain things that were embedded in me. I grew up in a certain place and a certain area and seen certain things, and that shapes my way of thinking. So if somebody has a different perspective, a different point of view, I welcome. I really enjoy hearing other points of views, even if it's something that I still don't agree with, again, at the end. But I do like seeing how other people come up with their conclusions and their decisions. By not being able to explore that curiosity, we are left with a society that doesn't know how to hear tough or difficult conversations, even when it comes from someone we absolutely love and adore, someone we claim to trust their judgment. That is an advice I always give people. Who is giving you the information? Who is telling you to be cautious or, whatever? Who is the person talking to you? Is it someone you consider to trust and value their opinion? Is it someone who also may work in a certain field that may have a biased opinion? Has this person reached their goals in that department of what they're telling you, right? I want us to keep in mind that we have already done the mindfulness exercise, and hopefully it helped us to look inside of ourselves and hold ourselves accountable. We then also wrote down characteristics that helped us describe who we envisioned our higher self to be, and therefore that's going to help us make decisions with this individual in mind. Make the decisions, take the actions that version of our higher self, of who we want to become, how would they make those decisions? What would be their actions to achieve those goals? With relationships, we are going to work on making decisions the higher version of ourselves would make. For me, one of them was being a go-getter. So that means that I shifted my mindset when I'm making decisions about my life as a go-getter, whether it be with my self-care and my goals and my body, my nutrition. I embedded that in myself from a very early on age. And I've always made sure that the little voice inside me thought it was a positive thing. And I continue to exercise that. So, the relationship we have with ourselves, I think, is extremely important. I worked on loving myself first a long time ago. I'm not sure exactly where it came from, where I just never really let people get me down. I had a tough exterior, but I also was known to be a very emotional child and always was told, "Oh, there you go, crying again." But that was okay with me. That was okay for me to be a crybaby. It felt good to release those emotions. I had a lot of feelings, and I honestly don't know how I would have grown up if I would have gotten in the habit of suppressing those emotions. And so, again, this is not how everybody thinks, but because I do get asked a lot as I'm meeting people and having conversations, or other people when they're going through things, there's something that stands out about me that they're comfortable in asking me, "Hey, how did you get to where you're at?" And so this is me putting it on a podcast, how I think, and I acknowledge that not everybody thinks this way. And so if you can hear it from me, it hasn't been easy, but it has been a huge part just changing my mindset, knowing when I'm hurting. And, I've gone through depression when I was diagnosed with my autoimmunes. Like I felt myself go into these depressions, and I will always let it be known that it was me acknowledging, like, crap, I'm in a place I didn't know I could get. These feelings are so strong, they're so emotional. I need to acknowledge that I'm feeling them. I need to acknowledge that I'm going in this direction, and at the end of the day also acknowledge that I can figure out a way to get myself out of it. Even if I didn't know at the time how, just telling someone. I remember texting my sister and driving to her work, "Hey, I just need a freaking hug right now." She wouldn't ask questions. I would drive to her work and we would have lunch together. And I think if I wouldn't have came out and told her, she may have not known that I was feeling depressed, because we walk around and we smile, and sometimes we kind of get in this autopilot and we need to tell people. With myself, I've also given myself a lot of rules and guidelines when it came to like dating or um, being single. I really wanted to be single for a while after certain relationships to rediscover myself, and knowing that some relationships go up and down, make up, break up. And I've never really been that person to break up and make up all the time. I've had relationships where it was 2, 4 years straight without any breakups or makeups. I've never been into that emotional yo-yo. And I do also have to give a lot of credit to my mother for taking us to therapy when we were little, letting us understand that therapy is a positive in someone's life, even when things are going good. Life itself is stressful and it can be overwhelming, especially if it's going good and, something happens that if we are not in a good place mentally and able to handle these things that life might throw at us, it could be a spiral. And so having those guidelines for myself really helped me kind of stay on the right track. And I don't want to say right track because everything's a journey. There's no right or wrong. There's just going to be more obstacles or hurdles to go through if we don't have certain guidelines, and especially if we don't self-reflect. I'm a big believer. That's one of my characteristics, that I speak into the universe, that I want to be able to self-reflect, and I'm going to change. My opinion is not going to be the same opinion in a year from now, because hopefully I will grow and learn more in that year, and then my opinion might change at that time. So, knowing that things are going to change is also a sign of positive growth. Being easy on myself as well has been a really good way, in the sense of like, yes, I will tough love myself, of like, this food item really causes aches and pains. You should not eat that. What are you doing when I'm about to consume that? If I'm working out, hey, you got this, you can go further. Those are the things. But in the sense of I am easy on myself because I know that I'm going to mess up. I'm going to have those moments where I don't discipline myself and I still eat something that's going to cause me pain. And then when it causes me pain, damn it, I'm already in pain. Why am I going to be down on myself? Right? So try to ease that pain and try to make better decisions the next time. Be easy on yourself when you screw up. And for someone who loves being obsessive compulsive, be easy on yourself when things don't go your way, when things don't fall according to plan. I had talked to my therapist in the past about the fact that I plan, the fact that I have lists and charts and I want to stay on schedule for my calendar and things like that. That's not a problem, right? Those are positive characteristics. However, the way I behave when things don't go to plan, when I don't get to check off everything on my list, how does my body react? How do I feel? My emotions, like some of my emotions sometimes are kind of ridiculous. Getting the house deep cleaned and then the kids spill their protein shake everywhere, and then my family comes over and I'm cleaning the walls. Those kinds of things happen, of course, but I have to be careful on how I cry or explode or these negative things that just spiral into the environment. They get me in the worst mood. They cause such a strong stress response in my body that I might trigger a migraine. I might trigger achiness, upset stomach. If my kids are around and they see that, it's not a pleasant experience for them. My husband as well, right? And so if you guys can relate to having someone you love, when they're unhappy, it affects you more than if you're just unhappy at the day, right? If I was just unhappy today, fine. But if my husband gets home and he's unhappy, it makes me even more unhappy for him because we're always looking out for everybody else. So if I react that way, now my husband is worried and unhappy for me. Working on how to respond when those triggers of things don't get checked off. I have to have a priority A of things that absolutely need to get done. And then the priority B that I have to be more flexible because now I'm a mother of 3 kids. I have less time to myself. I have so much going on sometimes that it's unrealistic for me to be that hard on myself when I don't get everything on my checklist done. And so I have to acknowledge some things might not get done, and that goes on my checklist B. That's what I mean about being easy on yourself. Want to live a healthier lifestyle but don't know where to start? Tired of fad diets that get you nowhere? Maybe you got to your goal, but you can't afford the expensive supplements. Reach your fitness goals, but still struggling with chronic health issues? I'm holistic lifestyle coach Gigi, founder of Cultura Sensual Enhanced Wellness. I created a personal health and wellness assessment you can't get anywhere else to help you reach optimum health and start living your best life. Click on the link, culturasensual.com, fill out the application at the end for your free consultation with me. This is your sign so that you can choose to start taking care of yourself. Another thing that I noticed that I did a lot as a young age was that I learned from my peers. There were certain things that I would witness with friends, friends running away, or even friends being on drugs at a very, very young age. Something about me just had me learn from people's mistakes around me. My father and mother had a very tough relationship, and I could have gone in the other direction where all my relationships could have been abusive to me and me acknowledge and accept it. But I think every time that happened, my mother would leave my father, but my mom always made the effort to leave my father when he was in these states of being aggressive. That also shaped me and like, no, I will not accept this. I remember my dad being a loving father at times and a loving husband and all these things, but there was other times that were not the best times. And so I remember not wanting to be going back to the same thing over and over when I knew it was wrong. And so I made decisions early on in life to just cut things before they got too intense. Cut boyfriends off before the feelings got too intense. Friendships, even jobs, careers. I've had some careers or jobs that I did the training longer than I was in the actual job, because if I knew it wasn't for me, I'm not going to waste that time. I'm going to spend that time doing something else that might get me to where I am going to be happy instead. So that saves a lot of time. I think that saved a lot of my mental sanity. Therapy for sure has helped me. And in our home, we use essential oils so much every single day. Essential oils are extremely, extremely good for our system. And I will talk about that a little bit later. They just react with our body chemistry. The oils have properties themselves, right? They interact with our body chemistry and they create a reaction, and that's where you get the feelings of whatever, uplifting, relaxation, things like that. And so we use those a lot at home. Movement also helps us feel better, not only obviously if you start reducing weight and looking better, but it really just releases endorphins, another chemical reaction that our body does to help us feel better and helps our emotional and mental health. Foods can help you feel better. The right foods for our body type and the environments that we're in, those are some good ways to help ourselves have a better relationship with ourselves. I have always believed that if we don't learn to love ourselves where we are at, by ourselves, and wherever we are at in any situation, then it's going to be really difficult for us to be anywhere and find happiness and things like that. If we can't love ourselves, how will we set boundaries on how people love us? That's very important to me. Our family should definitely be a motivation to loving ourselves, but what do we do when we put our family first? We tend to neglect ourselves, our nutrition, our self-care. We don't make time to work out or meal plan or anything like that. And so it's a ripple effect. We feel sick, we get fatigued, we end up overweight. It's just a never-ending amount of things that happen if we do not take care of ourselves first. And so that version of ourselves, the sick one and tired one and moody one, how is that version of ourselves going to be able to watch our children and grandchildren grow up? In episode 1, I asked you, how would it look like showing up for yourself first? What waking up would look like, what your mood would feel like, your mood towards your kids or work, your partner, the commute to work, and so on. I really like the analogy that some of you may have heard this before about when you fly. If you're flying with children, they ask you to put your oxygen mask on first before you help your children. And that is a safety reason, because if you pass out, then you can't help your children, right? And unless you have older children that understand the oxygen mask situation and all that, chances are little ones do not. And if you pass out, all your kids are passing out and losing oxygen. So you put it on yourself first, and then you put it on your children. That is what self-care is about as well. At the end of the program that we do, my clients absolutely love the self-love, the energy, how their emotions feel. Majority of my clients come for weight loss. The weight loss part of the program is freaking incredible. The amount of weight people lose because we're taking care of not just food, we're taking care of providing the right foods for the body. We're providing self-care. We're providing emotional and mental support that weighs so heavy on us. We're setting the environment perfect for our body to heal and grow and be the best freaking version, the highest version of ourselves And so, yes, weight loss is the very first thing people in my DMs and emails say. I really am tired of being this way. I need a change. My very first response is, I do more than just weight loss. You have to be prepared to immerse yourself in feeling good, in wanting better quality of life. We are not meant to be achy and in pain and have all of these symptoms all the time. And so by the end of the program, I don't even have to mention anymore that my program is not about weight loss, that my program is about overall holistic health and wellness. Their response at the end is always of how good they feel, that they never thought they would feel so good about themselves, their body image, about where they're going in life, even if they think that they're messing up. It is a wonderful place where they feel good about themselves in life. And of course, at the end of the program, there's new goals, there's new things and a new journey. But I teach them to heal themselves in a way so they're confident that they can continue on this journey. And maybe not alone. We don't always need to do everything alone, but there is resources. We need to know that we can use our resources, that we are not failures because we can't do it alone. We're not failures because we don't know everything, and we're not failures because we don't have all the cool tools and gadgets and all of those things. And that is how we put ourselves first and feel good and have a healthy relationship with ourselves to get there. Send in your questions or messages. I would love to hear from you. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe so that you don't miss new episodes on Wednesdays at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'm Gigi. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of the Tough Love Podcast with Essential Gigi. This will be the realest shit you're gonna hear. Bye.